Studies shows that in 4 months your red blood cells are entirely replaced by new red blood cells. Your skin cells are also replaced every week. And in about 7 years, the atoms in your body are replaced by new atoms. So when we think about it deeply, physically we are constantly a new person because the neurons in our brain are replaced, the cells in our body are replaced, the atoms in our body are replaced. Not a tiny piece of our body remains the same. It keeps replacing, it keeps changing. So when physically we are constantly a new person, how are we the same person? How are we the same person from 5 years back? How are we the same person from 10 years back, 20 years back? How are we the same person? Hello friends, welcome to Young Wisdom. If you're new to this channel, my name is Tiling Choli Sangtam, and in this YouTube channel, I bring videos related to philosophy, psychology and religion. So if any of this subject interests you, you're very much welcome to watch my video. And yeah, if you like my videos, please consider subscribing. Now let's get back. Despite the physiological changes, we still have the sense of self, we still have the sense of identity that we are the same person. I still think that I am the same person, although I've grown a little older comparing to me from 10 years back or 20 years back. But what makes you think that you are the same person? What makes you feel that you are the same person? We may say that it is a memory. It is the things that we remember. It is the information that we have about our past. It is the information that we have about ourselves, the experiences, the informations, the events, all of the experiences, all of the informations that is stored in our brain. And maybe that memory is what makes me feel, what makes me think that I'm the same person despite the physiological changes in me. But hey, that's not the case, because even our memory keeps changing. Even our memory, the informations that are stored in our brain, the things that we remember, it keeps fabricating. It is equally susceptible and it is very much easy to be contaminated by different informations. It can be influenced by different factors, because every single time we remember something, we only remember when we are influenced by something. So every single time we remember something with the influence of something, it is always fabricated. Nothing remains the same. To justify that, here's a study by Professor Elizabeth Loftus. Professor Elizabeth Loftus of the University of California is considered to be one of the pioneers when it comes to studies related to memory. So in one of her experiments, she let the participants watch a video clip. She let the participants watch a film that is about vehicle crash, car crash. So what's interesting about this experiment is that every witness or every participant in the experiment shared different experience. Particularly when she asked about the speed of the cars in the scene. At first she asked the participants how fast were the cars going when they hit each other. And when the question was asked, the participants gave their own answer about the speed of the cars. She asked the same thing using different language in the second question. In the second question, she asked, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? Here, Professor Elizabeth Loftus played with language, played with words, because certain words has been replaced. On the first question, she asked, how fast were the cars going when they hit each other? The word going was replaced by smashed into each other. When the second question was asked to the participants, she found that the speed of the cars increased depending on the intensity of the question. Although the two questions are asking the same thing, when we hear the first question, it sounds a little lighter, it sounds a little less serious, but when we hear the second question, it sounds a little heavier, it sounds a little more serious. From this study, we can know how susceptible our memory is to be influenced or is to be contaminated by different external factors. Because if you're in a good mood, if you're experiencing positive emotion at present, maybe the things that you remember might get along according to the state of your emotions. Or maybe, as the experiment shows, maybe the choice of words, the usage of language, depending on the mood, depending on the language, depending on the state of your emotion, depending on the situation, depending on the condition that you are in, the things that we remember can be contaminated. It keeps fabricating, it keeps changing. It is constantly a new thing. Every single time we remember, every single time the informations are retrieved from our memory, it's never the same. There is always a fabrication, there is always changes with what we remember. When the things that we remember, when the informations in our brain keeps changing and keeps fabricating, what makes us think that we are the same person? What makes us have the sense of identity? In this video, I want to talk about the mysterious working of our mind in our brain. So let's start this way. What is brain? And what is mind? Are they the same? Is brain a product of mind? Is mind a product of brain? Whichever the question is, what is brain and what is mind? We can say that brain is a material object because if I cut open your brain and check, I know that there will be brain. If you cut open my head the same way, you will see brain inside this head. But if we just cut open a head and check, will there be mind? Like, where is mind? Because if what's inside this head is brain, then where is mind? The very ability to think, the very ability to feel, experience consciousness, it's not the brain, like it's not the material brain. Because brain and mind seems to be a complete two different entities. For example, here's a book, The Brain by David Eagleman. Take a close look at it. Now I remove the book, and if I ask you to close your eyes and take a look at the book again, I'm sure that you can see that book. And considering that our eyes is the only organ in our body that can see, you are looking at it with your eyes closed, and you can see it. You can see the book. You can see the shape of the book. You can see the color of the book. You can see the words that are written in the book. You can exactly see the book that I've just showed you. If I show you the same book displayed on a phone screen or a computer screen or in a big LED screen, you can see it because there is a screen displaying it. But when you close your eyes, I'm sure that there is no LED screen or there is no computer screen or there is no mobile phone screen that is displaying you the picture. But how is that you can still see? Now some would say that our brain works as a computer. Although objects like book, table and things are displayed on a computer screen, that does not mean that there is book inside the computer. Because when you break the computer and check, you will not find the book. But when we think about it, at least computer have the computer screen displaying the book. But when you close your eyes and when you take a look at the book, there is no computer screen, there's no screen that is displaying the book, but you can still see it. Although I'm no more showing you the book, you can exactly see it. Maybe the texture of the book, maybe the shape of the book, maybe the size of the book, the color of the book, you can exactly see it. We may say that that's a recent memory, like that's the information that our brain have just captured, But what you are experiencing, what you are seeing, is it materially explainable? Can brain explain that? Surely when you experience anything, there is pattern of activity that is going on in your brain. There is brain chemistry, there are neurons firing, there are hormones in your body that is activated. Certain parts of your brain gets activated. That is the base that we can explain. But those that we are explaining, those activities in our brain, those neurons firing, those brain chemistry explains nothing about your immaterial experience. Those explains nothing about your conscious experience that you're having right now, that there is book over there. Like, that is completely immaterial. What you are seeing, what you're experiencing right now is completely immaterial. And it can go other way around. If we arrange our brain and activate certain parts of our brain and, structure a pattern of activity in our brain and neurons firing, and arrange our brain in a way that there is active brain chemistry, we will have an immaterial experience depending on how your brain is structured and how we have just arranged our brain chemistry. As mentioned, at best we can explain the part of our brain that are activated, the pattern of activities that is going on in our brain, is by having an immaterial conscious experience. And yet those neurochemicals that gets activated, those part of the brains that gets activated, explains nothing about the conscious immaterial experience that you're having. For example, when Plato talks about form, the very fact that we can recognize things, the very fact that we can identify things when we see them, is because there are ideas in our head, there are forms in our head. Because without having the knowledge about this book, even though I'm looking at the book, even though I'm touching the book right now, I would not know the texture of the book, I would not know the shape of the book, I would not know the color of the book, I would not know what is this that I'm holding. For me to know any objective reality, it has to be there in my subjective realm, you know. So what I know about the book, the knowledge that I have is completely immaterial. It cannot be measured by material object. But the question is, where is that? Where is that I know about this book, the shape of the book, the size of the book, the color of the book, the verse that is written in the book? Where are those? Because surely when I cut open my head and check, there will not be a single book, there will not be a single alphabet, there will not be a single color in my head. So where is that book? Now, our brain is made up of atoms, so is this book. This book is also made up of atoms. The big difference is the way it's arranged and the way it functions. But if this book is arranged in a way that it can function like brain, it can think like brain, it can reason like brain, this book surely will no longer be an object that I'm having right here, that is book. This book will no longer remain a book, but this book, I'm sure, will be like a human person, a thinking person, a conscious experience being. That is why a famous dualist like René Descartes talks about mind-body problem, because our mind is complete immaterial. We cannot touch it, we cannot see it, we cannot measure. But our body, our brain, the veins, the neurons in my body, the atoms in my body, it's complete material. But my mind is complete immaterial. That is why the two is a complete separate entities. Mind cannot be the material brain, and this material brain cannot be the immaterial mind. Now, behaviorism, one of the most popular school of thought in the field of psychology, rejects entirely the whole idea of dualism. Because according to behaviorists, to think about mind, to measure mind, to study mind is not necessary at all. To behaviorists, mind is not scientific and mind is not real. Mind is not scientific because it cannot be measured, it cannot be studied, it is not an observable fact. It is not an observable behavior. Because in behaviorist worldview, only the observable behaviors are real. But that argument already sounds weak because when we experience something immaterial, we know that it cannot be measured in the form of an object. We know that it cannot be measured in the form of matter. We know that it's not reducible to matter, but we experience it and it's so real. The things that you see, the things that you hear, the things that you remember, the things that you are thinking right now, it's as real as this book that you're holding in your hand. But the thing is, how does this immaterial mind and this material object that is my brain works together? Maybe we can try giving neuroscientific explanation, but yet, at base, that is only representing what is going on as you are experiencing something that is immaterial. So it's always difficult to bring mind and brain together and explain in a way that, yes, this is how they function, this is how they work together.